on this incredibly busy holiday political week is Republican strategist Doug Heye, as well as former Maryland Congresswoman and NBC News political analyst Donna Edwards. Appreciate you guys being with us, and an early Merry Christmas to each of you. Doug, nothing like the smell of jet fumes and the threat of winter weather ahead of Christmas to get Congress, certainly the Senate, into gear on the omnibus. Looking at how this spending package went down, what are the things that you see here that give us indications about what a divided Congress is going to look like in the new year?
Well, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, the division between Republicans. And, I was at the farewell speech that Senator Richard Burr gave just last week. I know Congresswoman Edwards was at an event for him a couple of weeks earlier, where he said when he first came to Congress, he was told the people on the other side of the aisle are your opposition. The people on the other chamber of the Capitol, they're your enemy. And that's true whether you're talking about Republicans and Democrats or Republicans versus Republicans, Democrats versus Democrats. They don't always have the same priority. And so some of that infighting may be a real sign of what we see coming up, not just over the next couple of weeks, but as we move over the next 2 years.
Donna, you served in divided government. What are your expectations for the next year? And obviously, President Biden's going to have real challenges as he tries to accomplish more going forward. But now it's House Republicans, likely under the leadership of Kevin McCarthy, who have a lot more power.
Well, I think that the important thing for Democrats is to stay unified, because they're going to have a really strong opposition to things that a Republican-led House will try to push through. I think the challenge for Republicans, as I had experienced it, is that Republicans are really all over the map. And I think it is, with this narrow majority, it's going to be very difficult for Kevin McCarthy to, maintain all of the ships in the same sea. And so I think it is going to be difficult on the one hand for Republicans and for Democrats just staying unified in the face of that opposition. My experience is that Democrats have been able to do that and really push the buttons of some Republicans. And what we're seeing coming out of these new members coming into Congress is that they are in a completely different place than the mainstream of the Republican Party, if there is still a mainstream.
And Donna and Doug, as we speak to you right now, to our audience watching, you can see President Biden delivering his remarks on what they describe as the cross hall right in the center of the White House residence. If he makes any news in the course of his remarks, we will share that with you. Again, he's expected to be touting many of the White House's accomplishments over the course of these last 12 months. Donna, just one more follow-up to you, if I can, though. We know the omnibus funds the government through September. We also have the debt ceiling expected to hit likely in the spring months of next year. How ugly is this going to get as we relate to that potential cliff?
Well, it could be really ugly. We've seen in the past where Republicans have tried to use the debt ceiling as a cudgel, and no surprise that they'll try to do that again. And then with spending, even though spending expires on September 30th with the new fiscal year, that means that Republicans are going to have to set up their spending priorities going into an election year, and I expect that that will be difficult as well. But this debt ceiling coming up is going to be a surefire confrontation in the factions of the Republican Party.
Doug, is Kevin McCarthy the next speaker? I mean, what's taken so long? I think some people will say, obviously, there's an indication of the challenges they face right now. You got Kevin McCarthy threatening to tank all Senate Republican bills in the House if they agree to the spending package, right? He's still wielding a lot of power right now, but he still doesn't have full support within his conference.
Well, I think everything that he says right now should be in that context of the January 3rd vote. You don't get there until you have that vote, which, as the Congresswoman knows, is one person at a time, if they're in the chamber, voting on a person by name. So there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of drama, even in votes where who's going to win. When we knew that John Boehner was going to win in 2013, for example, Nancy Pelosi dealt with this as well. Obviously, as Kevin McCarthy is trying to get there, right now he's demonstrating to his caucus that he's a fighter. And we can argue whether that's the best posture to make if you're the speaker or not. But that's the posture that the conference wants to see by and large. And as he's trying to go back to his old role, he has to go to his old job of being the whip to get the new job as speaker. That's what he's demonstrating right now. He's whipping them by showing what a fighter he is.
And Doug, Kevin McCarthy says the House Republicans are going to take politics on the road. They're going to be holding hearings at the border, they say, as it relates to the issues over the asylum seeking, the migration crisis that we've witnessed taking there right now. Is this all to be seen through that lens as well, right? Really just to speak to the base and ultimately to some of the farthest right wings of the Republican Party?
No, actually, in my whole career, I've been a big proponent of what we call field hearings. And that's when you take Washington, D.C. out of the Capitol and you take it into those communities that are impacted. And you can do that at the border, certainly, but you can also do that on every committee, whether it's the Small Business Committee, the Science Committee, the Agriculture Committee. You take it to those areas that are impacted by the policies that are created in Washington and then obviously regulated in Washington. So you hear from the people directly. It's a lot easier for Washington to hold a hearing sometimes in those communities than it is for people to get to Washington to allay those concerns. So I think it's a good development. Democrats should do more of this. Republicans should as well.
Donna, Joe Biden has a lot that he's going to be touting as we hear his remarks over the course of this hour. What are his biggest challenges as the new year comes, obviously with eyes on 2024?
Well, look, I think that President Biden got a lot of his priorities passed, and I think 2023 is going to be a year for implementation. So you will see the president and his team out on the road for infrastructure projects and for the funding priorities that are going out into communities. And I think this is going to go a long way to touting his accomplishments as he goes into 2024. But look, there's not going to be a legislative year really for Democrats or for the president.
Yeah, as one senior official at the White House said to me recently, it's an opportunity to show your dollars at work, a way that the administration is trying to capitalize on past successes, even if there aren't a lot of new ones to be had over the course of the next year. Doug and Donna, we wish you both a very good holiday. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.